And we're back. We're back for another round of Eso Cruising with Chris Debonis from GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Chris, today we're going to talk about where?
St. John and the U.S. Virgin Islands, my home away from home.
Virgin Islands. Now, you say that because you live there. Is that correct?
I did. I lived there for quite a while.
That is something that most people can't say. Most people haven't even been there, let alone have lived there. So I'm going to guess that when it comes to being an authority on the USVI, you're certainly going to know what you're talking about. Chris is with GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Chris has been a travel advisor for a decade after spending a decade out on ships. So if you're looking for the right information about the right subjects, make sure you subscribe below and follow the rest of our video, watch the rest of our videos and follow along so you can see the new ones when they come out. If you want to be informed, we know what we're talking about. At least one of us does. So Chris, with the British Virgin Islands, what is the top city there? Is it St. John?
Well, St. John is the U.S. Virgin Islands, not the British Virgin Islands.
Rookie mistake. I've never been to either one of them. I usually go other places. So that's why I bring Chris on, because certainly he knows more about it than I do.
The British Virgin Islands are right next to the USVI. So okay. They're very easy.
I was close.
Like, the big city you'd hear in the British Virgin Islands, and we'll talk about them one day, is Tortola. That's the one that most people, if they've sailed that area, have probably been to Tortola and also been to St. Thomas, which is in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The islands are all very, very close. Here's the thing about St. John. St. John and St. Thomas are very, very close. They are from where the cruise ships dock on the other side of the St. Thomas. It's about a 45-minute ferry ride over to St. John. And if you go to the east end of St. Thomas, it's a 15-minute ferry ride. But here's what I'll say is what makes St. John as beautiful as it is 3/4 of the island is a national park. Cannot be built on, cannot be touched, cannot have any. So you're not going to get what you get on St. Thomas, which is a very built up touristy island that has Kmart and Costco and all that stuff on it. Whereas on St. John, I remember needing to buy socks, and I had to take a cab ride and 2 ferries to get over to the St. Thomas so I could buy socks. There, if you want to buy a $10,000 necklace, you can buy it in St. John. But yeah.
So it sounds like the island is in the same shape it was back when the pirates were patrolling and robbing all of the British ships.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit of quick history about St. John. St. John was actually given to the U.S. by J.D. Rockefeller. He owned the island. Yeah, he said, you can have this, but you have to protect it as a national park. So 3/4 of the island that's how it became a national park, including the beaches. So you're not going to find, senior frogs and all that stuff on the beach.
Senior frogs. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind that ruins every beach. Senior frogs.
All of the beaches are national parks. As a matter of fact, Paul is probably going to post Trunk Bay right now, which is my favorite beach.
I'm probably not going to do that.
Trunk Bay.
Oh, Trunk Bay. Sorry.
Trunk Bay.
Yeah. That just flashed on the screen.
Yeah. That's an absolutely gorgeous beach. The water is beautiful. St. John is probably one of the most beautiful Caribbean islands ever in all of the Caribbean. And most people haven't been there because they go to St. Thomas and they don't realize that St. John is just a short trip away.
And it has the white sandy beaches and the clear as a glass of water, ocean water, and all that stuff, right?
For you scuba divers out there, 100-foot visibility.
And also for those of us who are afraid to go over our heads in the water, you can see them coming from enough time that you can get back to solid land. It's only an island if you look at it from the ocean. So that sounds pretty fantastic. So you get there, you hang out at the beaches. Are there places to stay on the island?
Yeah.
They have hotels and stuff like that. So if someone wanted to just go there, that's cool. But of course, we want people to go on cruise ships. most cruise ships end up going there eventually. Like most cruise lines have someone that's going to go there. One of their ships anyway.
It's a small island, so only the really smaller ships can actually port in the lagoon by St. John. So what normally happens is you're in St. Thomas, and the best way to get over there is to take some sort of an excursion that's going to bring you over there, because most people aren't going to know the ferry schedule or any of that. So what I would recommend is there's a number of different catamaran tours, snorkeling tours that'll take you over to St. John and give you some time in the island. I mean, any cruise line is going to have time for St. John. You know, you just got to look in your shore excursion catalog, and it'll say, sometimes it'll just literally be a boat that brings you to St. John, drops you off at Cruz Bay, which is the main town, and we'll come back in 4 hours, and then you can go to the beach, or you can rent a Jeep, or you can do whatever.
Now you can help people figure out all that excursion stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I tend to have people do it privately, but you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about all that stuff in just a minute. The real in-depth tips and tricks on how to maximize your time when you're out on honestly any cruise, but we'll also focus a little bit on this one. Now, for the time that you spent there, tell me something that when you instantly think of it, like, boy, that was awesome. I would go back just for that. Tell me something about St. John that sticks out.
You know, the thing about St. John is, for me, is always going to be it's like everyone, you know, everybody, everyone's your friend. Everybody knows everybody. It's one of those things. I can tell you, well, this may not appeal to everybody, but I can tell you one of the funniest stories is there's a little pub there called the Poor Man's Pub, and you go in there.
That's where I hang out.
Yeah, and you go in there and you say, I'll have a darkened diet, which is basically means the local rum, which is Cruzon rum, and Diet Coke. And that's the drink of everyone drinks that. And what they do is that I had just moved there. The guy hands me the bottle of rum, a Tupperware thing of limes, and a plastic cup filled with ice, and a can of the Diet Coke. And he's like, pour your own drink. And I was like, you fool, I will pour all over this rum. But here's what you don't know is the rum is cheaper than the Coke. They want you to pour more rum because the Coke's really expensive because everything's got to come in on a boat.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And then at the end of your time there, you can actually Yahtzee roll against the bartender. If you beat him, your tab is free. If you lose, your tab is double.
You know, I would do that probably every time if we're talking about later on, and I would probably lose every time. But you know what? I would do that every time. Like there's no way that I'm not going 50-50 free tab. Like it'll never work out in the end. It's like playing the lottery, but you know, that sounds like an awesome time. So St. John in the British Virgin, the U.S. Virgin Islands.
U.S. Virgin Islands. And I'll tell you another.
Fantastic.
I'll tell you another thing to give you an idea of the way the island is you can be walking down the street and a car will just stop and you hop in and they drive you to town. I mean, that's just, everybody knows everybody. So if they see you walking along
town way back, like in the 80s, when you're just going to your buddy's house and someone's like, yeah, just, hop in, and you do because it's safe. In 1980, not in 2020 or 2019. Don't hop in cars with strangers now. But you're saying in St. John, you can still do that.
Oh my gosh! I mean, especially if it's raining. If it just starts raining, if you're walking, because a lot of people don't have cars because the island's only 9 miles wide, and there's only 2 major towns that you live in. So, and then there's houses up in the hills. But, like a lot of people just walk down into town, and if they're walking, a car will just pull over and you just hop in. And it doesn't even, you don't even think maybe I shouldn't get in the car because everyone knows, oh, that's John. I can get in the car with him because everybody knows his car,
I know where he's going. Hop in.
Yeah. And the other thing too is there's one traffic light, and that's it. But the thing is the island is beautiful. I mean, the beaches are without peer because they're pristine, because they haven't been built on. There's no commercialization of them. They're heavily protected. There's just, you're not going to run into what you're going to find on a lot of the other beaches, you know, the other Caribbean beaches. There's nothing like that. On for example, in Trunk Bay, there's a snack bar that sells rum, of course, but I mean, they make sandwiches and stuff. It's just something that's run by the national park. It's not a big bar. It's not a big, you're going there to enjoy nature. And actually in St. John, you might like this, Paulie. They actually have a snorkel trail. So you go along the trail and you're swimming and there's a plaque and it tells you, oh, this is this coral. And then you go to the next one and the next one, and it kind of takes you around. Yeah. So there's a lot of things about St. John that are good. The nightlife there is fun. If you ever do stay, a lot of people will end their cruise and maybe stay in go over to St. John and stay a couple nights, or some gorgeous hotels there. A lot of celebrities stayed there. When I was living there, I met a bunch of them, and they just walk into the restaurant because there's only 5. So really great island, and it's definitely a hidden gem. And I would say that anybody going to St. Thomas, especially if you've been to St. Thomas before, take that excursion, go check out St. John. I promise you will not be disappointed.
And that's an awesome idea too, because for people, a lot of people like myself, we end up going to oftentimes the same places, right? And it's difficult to complain like, oh, you know, I don't want to go there anymore. Like everybody, most people are dying to go there once, and I'm complaining because I've been there 7 times. And so now people who end up going to St. Thomas, now they know, well, I'll just go over to St. John and I'll spend the day there, and then they can go on the snorkel trail, and they can go and check out the beaches, and they can go and check out No Senor Frogs, and stop by and have a darkened Coke. Is that what it was?
Darkened Diet.
Darkened Diet. Got it. Yeah. Well, that sounds like a fantastic thing. Let's pause for a second, and when we come back, we're going to go over really pretty intricate stuff on how to book the best trips, and how to save money, and how to actually make your dollar stretch a lot further and get the most for your time when you are out cruising. We'll be back in just a second, folks. Hang on.
Go Luxury Cruiser is an all-inclusive travel agency waiting to help you book your next adventure or relaxing getaway. If you want a balcony room on Royal Caribbean, a suite on a river cruise to the Christmas markets, or a volcano view in Hawaii, Chris Debonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com is the expert you need. Call 888-404-5581 or send an email to chris@GoLuxuryCruiser.com today. GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Explore, discover, go.
All right, everybody, we're back. As you can tell, Chris and I both spilled things on us during the commercial break there, so we both put on new clothes. But we're back to talk about cruising and why you should call Chris Debonis at Go Luxury Cruiser. Email him, chris@goluxurycruiser.com. The email address, as I've said 100 times already. And the website, of course, is goluxurycruiser.com. Easy enough. Now, Chris, you and I have spoken so many times about why people should use travel advisors. And one of the things that always sticks out to me is the fact that people now can do it themselves. And it's very simple to do. You go to the website, you type in the information. You can go to royalcaribbean.com if you want, not to pump them, but you can. You can go to Orbitz, they have it. You can go to any one of the things, and I can do it myself. But you always tell me that you can do something differently, and I know that now. So let's talk about why the people who are now watching the video should be calling you instead of booking it themselves. Let's just start with just booking a simple cruise, a simple balcony room or a suite on a royal ship. Why should someone call you instead of booking it themselves?
Well, I mean, the first thing is you get me. I mean, I come from 10 years at sea. I've worked on almost every single class of Royal Caribbean ship there is, and I've probably been to every port of call in the world, minus maybe a dozen. And what I can do for you is I can not only add my knowledge to your cruise, but I can also add value. We can always add perks, shipboard credit. I mean, it really varies from case to case to case, but I can always add something. And that's really what it is. And look, yes, you can absolutely go to Google, type in Caribbean cruises, and you're going to get a million things. You can go to Costco now and order a cruise. But do you really want to order your cruise where you get your barbecue sauce from? I mean, I've never really understood that.
Well, you want to certainly go with an expert. You want to go with someone who knows exactly what's going on at all points and times. And you might try just getting a little bit closer to your mic because you're a little bit quiet right now. Or maybe move it a little bit closer. That way everyone can hear everything we're talking about. Now, certainly if I book it through Costco and something goes wrong, what am I going to do? Call 1-800-COSTCO and be like, hi, so I'm kind of a little bit stranded here. Or, hey, listen, my room is not what I wanted it to be, and I need some help here, and they're not helping me. I don't think that the cashier at Costco is going to be stepping up to the plate. But they could call you, and you might be able to help them out. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I probably would have already said, hey, just FYI, this room is, below the pool deck. So you might be hearing noises of them dragging the chairs at 7 a.m. every single morning. And if you're a late sleeper, you won't be on that cruise. That's just a little example.
There's so many things about that that others don't. And I've been on more cruises than I can ever count. And every time we talk about this, you tell me something else that I never thought about when I'm booking a cruise. You talk about being under the pool deck. When we talk about Norwegian ships, celebrity ships, you don't want to be with the magic carpet outside of you. You don't want to be under the windjammer. You don't want to be in the interior on the Allure because it's just a little bit warmer than being on the exterior. Like every time we talk, you have something else. And with all these ships out there, how am I supposed to remember it? Oh, that's right. I don't have to because I can call you instead. Now, at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, people need to know that the experience that they wish that they had, you have already done it all. So you can actually just give them the knowledge. You were on ships for 10 years prior to being a travel advisor for the past 10 years. So there's very little that you're not going to be able to know or help them with. So let's say somebody is booking a cruise in Alaska and they call you and they say, hey, listen, Chris, I want to go in a balcony room in Alaska. Can you give me an idea of what I might consider doing? Like what sort of tips and tricks would you give someone who's going to Alaska?
I always recommend with Alaska, absolutely 100% a balcony cabin. Alaska is a very visual sailing, and there's actually whole days where you spend just kind of cruising around a glacier. And I always recommend an aft facing, so a rear facing balcony, because what happens is when you're sitting there, you can see on both sides of the ship. So if the ship's on this side, you can see and then if the ship's on the other side, so you're not, because if you're on one side of the ship, if the ship turns around away from the glacier, you're not seeing anything.
You got a heck of a look at the ocean, just like every other time you've been on a cruise ship looking at the ocean, except it's just
you get great sunsets. Yeah, great sunsets, beautiful views. And what's nice too is on the aft facing balconies, you're sailing away from a port and you're just watching it disappear, and it's fantastic.
Now, and again, it's stuff like that that stands out. This is why people need to call you instead of. And I book a lot of cruises, and when I used to do it myself, I'd be like, oh yeah, like that one looks good, I'll take that. And then you're walking down the hallway the first time you go into your room, and you're like, geez, I didn't think about this. Oh, look at this. I can't believe. Why am I here? Can I move? And it just becomes such a hassle and such a difficult thing because, listen, you don't go on 7 cruises a year. So when you get a bad room, you're in a bad room. That's your vacation. And the whole time, all you should be thinking about is, why did I think I should do this myself? There are experts out there that want to help me. And oftentimes, the assistance comes not only with booking, but you can also, through GoLuxuryCruiser.com, help them out with maybe getting a slightly lower rate on the cabin or an onboard credit, right? Like, well, I remember one time I was out there and you're like, right before I left, you're like, oh, and by the way, check your onboard credit. I got you a night in Chops. And I was like, man, that's cool. Like, I'm happy that Chris booked this for me instead of me booking it myself again and missing out on such a thing. And these are things that you can do for people, right?
Right. And here's the other thing too, is the cruise line isn't going to say, oh, you're booking directly through us, we're going to charge you less because we don't have to pay the travel agent's commission. They're not going to do any of that. They're just going to take that money and not give you whatever we would give you and not give you any of the benefits you have from our associations.
Right.
And I can tell you that, you know, from experience, I know what these guys are talking about. I can't tell you how many times I've had blatantly, let's just say, not the best information given to me talking to people that work for the cruise line. And
Of course.
yeah. So, I mean, and that's the thing is when you're dealing with a travel agent, you got to make sure that they know what they're talking about too. It's just like anywhere else. But what I would say is when it comes to booking travel, always try to use an agent, find an agent you trust. You know, you can always call me and talk to me, but I mean, to speak to what you're saying is there's balcony cabins that are very inexpensive on cruise lines. They could be as much as $1,000 less per person. And what they don't tell you is that's where the anchor chain is.
Right. Yeah. And actually, as an aside, I know when you try to book on Royal, like there are two choices. There's like, we'll choose your balcony for you, or for an extra $100, you can pick your own. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. Like, I'm going to let you put me in the worst cabin possible. The reason it's available is because everyone who has a brain didn't take that one. Everyone who knows what they're talking about was like, no, I'm not taking that one. That one's right next to the boiler room under the windjammer with the pool in the backyard. Like, no, thank you.
I will tell you, speaking to that, there is some times where you can look at that as glass half full. If you take what's called a guarantee and they sell out of that category, they have to upgrade you. So there are people that like to roll the dice on that. No. And I always say, okay, you know, I mean, you could end up in the best cabin. I've had clients get sent up to nicer levels, and I've had them go, yep, they put me next to the anchor chain. You know,
yeah,
so.
That just sounds like an absolute awful thing to do. And, you know, it's another reason to go with someone like, you know, for those of you who are watching and listening, Chris Debonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, is when you're talking with Chris, I can tell you that the customer service starts the day that you introduce yourself, and it ends not at the end of your first cruise, or not when you haven't booked one for a year. You don't get purged from the system. I know that, and Chris and I have spoken about this extensively. Someone can call Chris up and say, hey, listen, 5 years ago, you booked me on this one, and can you help me with this one? And within a couple of minutes and a quick search of a database, Chris is going to have the person's information, double check it, know what they want, know what they're looking for, because he keeps extensive notes on the people, and everything that he needs to do to make your cruise the best thing that you've had for years is this one option. Just call your favorite travel agent, which, you know, of course, is Chris Debonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. If you want to do it right, because folks, I can tell you, and you know, I'm not. Chris isn't paying me anything to say this, by the way.
No, as a matter of fact, I had to bring him kicking and screaming over to using a travel agent because Paulie knew everything.
I still know everything, but the new knowledge is what's important. If you're looking to book travel, you can find someone who is a travel agent who read a couple of travel books and got hired by a travel company, and they've been doing this for 6 months. And boy, they've booked 10 or 12 cruises already, and they know what they're talking about. Or you can have someone who's been doing it for 2 years on and off on weekends, and they book their friends and family, and they work from home, and their experience is a little more than a common traveler. Or you can go with someone who actually lived on cruise ships for 10 years, who has traveled so much around the world that this travel advisor can tell you where to go and when to go and what to do when you get there in almost every port on the planet. And then for the last 10 years has been doing that. Both of those options are going to cost you the same, which is usually nothing, but one of them is going to give you what you're looking for, and the other one is going to, we were talking about rolling the dice. Well, yeah, there's your roll right there. So if you're dealing with Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, it certainly is going to make a big difference for your vacation. The easiest way to get in touch, of course, is you can just simply go to the website. The phone number is on the website, right, Chris?
Yeah, everything's on the website.
GoLuxuryCruiser.com.
Yep.
Now, you can book the Caribbean, and you can pretty much book anywhere, can't you?
Yeah, no, I can book anything, anywhere. And it's funny, I know we talk about cruises a lot, but I mean, if you need something else, I can do that. If you want to stay somewhere pre or post on your cruise, I can do that. Everything from hotel rooms to villas in Monte Carlo, I can do it all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about that, about taking trains, like after you get off the ship. If you listen, you got 2 weeks of vacation, you take a cruise for a week, and then you hop on a train for a week. And you need hotels in the meantime. You need all the information. Like I always talk about cruising because, well, this is a cruise YouTube channel, so we sort of focus on that. But Chris isn't limited to just cruising, because not only has he been to these places, but he's lived in a lot of pretty exotic places and has spent a ton of time in a lot of places like that. So outside of cruising, you can also do that. We've got videos on a lot of the cruise ships. We've got videos on a lot of the ports, a lot of the cities to go to, a lot of events that happen around the world, and anything that you need to do when it comes to booking travel. You can go to GoLuxuryCruiser.com and book just about anything out there. Chris, can you book me to Antarctica, by the way?
No problem. When do you want to
go? When are we leaving? When are we leaving?
Do you want to go out on Zodiacs, or you just want to look at it? Do you want to get right out with the penguins, or do you want to just look at them from the thing?
I mean, we're probably going to have to stand on the continent, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be, you can't tell people that you saw Antarctica. Like, you're going to have to probably go and walk around and feed a couple of penguins.
You would be surprised. Oh, I'm okay. By the way, in Antarctica, ant meaning Arctica, ant. There's no bears in Antarctica. You got to go up to Arctica, the Arctic, to see the polar bears.
Yeah. See what I get, folks? It's you try to say something a little bit funny, and it turns out that you're just dealing with an expert who won't let things go. There we go.
Well, there's no bears in Antarctica.
Well, you know what? I'm going to bring one just to change the whole narrative of this entire video. And when people are watching this in 3 years, they're going to be like, yeah, they're up. Paul brought them there.
Paul brought that whole family down.
It'd be awesome. But it really is that simple, though, right? Like I just came up with something crazy, like, oh yeah, I want to go to Antarctica. And the answer is like, yeah, you can do that. Like I for all the things I've ever asked, hey, can we do this? Hey, what about this? Like, what's an excursion? If we're going here, what's a good excursion? Where's the thing to do here? And like, you just always know. And it's another reason why people just absolutely have to call you, email you, and go to the website and find all the information at GoLuxuryCruiser.com and get in touch with you before they book. And if it's a short trip, if it's a long trip, if it's a balcony room, if it's a suite, if it's a junior suite, if they're looking to get into the Haven, if they're looking to get into the retreat or anything, and anything at all, like, you're the person to call. And that's kind of what we want people to do. So
we can always add value. We can always add value. We can always add our knowledge to the booking and make sure that, because look, especially in all these crazy times and everything, we want to make sure that the dollar you spend is maximized to where it can't be maximized anymore. So,
Yeah, it absolutely is. And if you're booking a cruise and it's going to be $2,000, but you're getting $2,300, $2,400 worth of value. And then because you did it in a certain way, it actually ends up being more value just based on your experiences than if you just had just done it yourself. So Bottom line, folks, you don't have to go it alone. You can call your friendly neighborhood travel advisor. Go to GoLuxuryCruiser.com, get in touch with Chris Debonis or one of his partners there at the office, and they will give you all the information that you're going to need in order to have the greatest vacation at the greatest value. And the more you book, the more they know about you, the better your experience will be every time. Chris, final words for the good people who are looking to get in touch with Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Paul. I always have a good time.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Later.